If you've been training for over 6 months and training hard, you're probably in a plateau right now. And you don't even know it because you think that this is the rate of progress you're supposed to be getting. Hey bro, I'm Orpheus. I'm a 15-year-old calisthenics and street lifting athlete. I can now dip 40 kg for 4 reps. I can pull up 35 kg for 4 reps. And I can squat 110 kg for 3 reps. I'm gonna prove to you that what's missing from your training isn't training harder or doing lower volume, high intensity, or any of these things that the influencers tell you. It's actually a secret that powerlifters and gymnasts have, and it's called periodization. Periodization is splitting your workout routine into periods which focus on certain things. That could be hypertrophy, strength, or central nervous system adaptation. So you need to focus on each one of these individually because your body cannot adapt to multiple of these at once. This is what your training looks like right now if you're not periodizing. Imagine you have a 60-minute math lesson split into 3 20-minute segments. You have one on like simple adding, you have one on algebra, and then the last one on some like college level topic. The thing is, you cannot learn all of those in just 20 minutes each. The same thing goes for your body, right? It cannot adapt to strength, hypertrophy, and CNS all in one session. That's not possible. So how do you even periodize your training for these unbelievable gains I'm talking about? And if you want to easily learn how to periodize and not have to watch through this YouTube video stuff, you can just check the link in the description for my free community where I'll teach you to do that. First week is going to be focused on hypertrophy. You're going to be doing 4 sets of 8 for your main movement. That's your top set. Let's say you do 4 sets of 8 on dips. Then you do what's called a back off, where you do 1 to 2 sets of like maybe 10 to 12 reps on, for example, dips. Then you add one support exercise, which is just a exercise which complements the main movement, which we're talking about are dips. So that could be, for example, the bench press, which is the same muscles. And then you add in a isolation. Then is the intensity. We're gonna show the intensity in a metric called RPE. That's rate of perceived exertion. Rate of perceived exertion is from 1 to 10, and it just tells us the intensity. So 8 RPE, for example, is 2 reps in reserve. 7 RPE is 3 reps in reserve, you get it. The top set, like your main sets of the movement, are gonna be RPE 8 or 7 for the first week, which is really low when you think about it if you've been training extremely hard. Then your back off is gonna be RPE 6, literally 4 reps in the tank. Then your 2 support exercises, both of those are gonna be RPE 7. I think you get the groove. We're just gonna be lowering the volume and upping the intensity for the second week. So the second week is focused on strength. So we're gonna be doing like a 3x5 or 3x6. It depends on your movement, but just pick one of those. And you're gonna be at RPE 8 to 9. Usually RPE 8 though. And for week 1, it's usually RPE 7 for the top set. Then you're gonna be doing your back off, which is 1 to 2 sets of RPE 7, I would say. Then you have your 2 support exercises. You can just do 1 support exercise you can do on RPE 7 and then the other one on RPE 7 to 8. Then is your third week, which is your CNS adaptation week. Here you're going to be lowering the volume a ton and mostly working on the intensity. This is where Ian Barsegal got his 2-set method from. And you're going to be doing 3x3 or 3x4 on this week, all at RPE 10, which means you don't actually fail, but you could not have gotten another rep. Or you might fail, but optimally you don't. Then for the back off set, you don't actually have a back off set, you just change it for your support exercise. So for example, for dips, I would probably do banded dips where I add a resistance band because I'm bad at the top part. So I can work more on the top part. Like I put the resistance band over me, like I'll show a video, and basically I better work on the top part. Then I add some isolation. So the first support exercise, which are the banded dips, I would do like a 3x6 probably. Yeah, 3x6 at RPE 9. So 1 rep in reserve. And then for the second support exercise, I would do RPE 10 as it's probably in isolation. The fourth week is a deload week. Here we just turn down the intensity and the volume super low. What this does is it gets rid of all the fatigue on your nervous system, on your like mental, right, on your brain from like the fatigue of working so hard, and then the fatigue of like your actual muscles, so you can rest and recover. And then how you're gonna do that is by doing like 3 sets on each exercise. You remove all the supports and all the back offs. So you do like 3 sets of 5, for example, on dips at RPE 6. Why we program these in is because you don't actually feel your central nervous system fatigue and your ligament fatigue and even some accumulated fatigue on your muscles. You don't feel that at all, leading you to thinking like you're good, but you are gonna plateau. And lastly is your PR week. Here you're just gonna be doing 1 rep maxes and a little bit of training, but do not have more than one 1 rep max per day because they're super fatiguing. And how you're gonna set this up is obviously warm up, then have your 1 rep max, then have a back off, like back off sets where you're gonna do like 3 sets of 5 to 3 sets of 7, like whatever you want in that range, and have it at like RPE 9. Then you can have 1 support exercise, could also be in isolation, and then do your next movement, like if you have 2 movements in one day, but try to not have 2 PRs, as I said, in one day. As you can see, periodization is complicated. It's not the simplest thing, I'm not gonna lie. But once you learn to get into it and start doing it, on your first periodization block, which is your first 5 weeks, you're gonna feel such an insane difference, and the weights are gonna feel so light, and I guarantee you'll add like maybe like 10 to 20 kilos on your 1 rep maxes on the first time you do this. It is just that impactful. If I could look back to my older self and actually get him to improve, I would probably send him to Weightisthenics. That is my community in the link in the description, where I basically break down all these difficult concepts like periodization, these powerlifting tactics, into simple and easy to understand courses. I would have been so much further in my journey right now than where I am now. And if you're just starting, it'll make a huge difference in your training. Trust me, you can easily 2x your gains from 1 year from now. Join Weightisthenics below, where you can get your 150 kg pull-up, dip, squat total in just 90 days. I guarantee you'll see the greatest results you've ever seen. See you, bro. Keep overloading.